Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode in the Distressed Pro Professional Podcast Series. Today, I'm happy to have Brett Berkey back again from Paperstac. Paperstac is, I don't know, Brett, is that the most advanced note trading platform on the web right now?
I'd like to think so.
Let's say so. And the last recording that we did, it was just at the beginning. They just launched. They were getting one portfolio on there. Now we've got you've had a couple dozen sellers through there, dozens or hundreds of tapes on and off the platform. Is that accurate?
Double-digit sellers, so probably 20 to 20 something active sellers, and then there's probably 30 to 40 that just have stuff sitting there, just hanging out, but just haven't listed it live. So there's a lot of sellers, and There's a lot of buyers too. So
nice. And so again, that's Paperstac. That's STAC, paperstac.com. And it's a note trading platform. So if you own notes now, you need to sell them. Or if you're looking to buy notes and you're not going to do the work of prospecting and finding the off market stuff, then Paperstac is the place to go. And Brett's going to walk us through some of the things that you've changed and updated lately. Is that our plan for today? I know you've come a long way.
Yeah. So I know the last time we spoke, we had a demo site that we were using to showcase what was coming. And so we officially launched at Note Expo in 2018 in November. And, but the good thing about it is the previous version we didn't do any development work when someone suggested something because we were busy doing the whole rewrite. This time, we've taken a whole lot of things. People have said, "Hey, I wish you did this," and then 2 weeks later, we're like, "It does that," So there's a lot of things that we've done. So we're always adding stuff. So it's we're trying to. It's a really hard thing to do, cater to both buyer and seller, build the platform. Because for the longest time, I was focused on let's get the sellers, and now it's like, okay, we need to get better buyers, and so how do we get the better buyers, better sellers, and so but I think we're getting there, and so it's the people are responding to it, and we're happy with that.
Well, in online business, and I have a lot of friends and associates who have various kinds of online businesses, but the two-sided marketplace is classically one of the most difficult to tackle because it's, you have to have the buyers in order for it to be valuable for the sellers, but you can't get buyers if you don't have anyone there.
It's the chicken and egg
there to sell. Yeah. But it sounds like you are sorting through that, and you've got a number of assets up there for sale. Did I see you have some numbers of millions of in UPD up there for sale now?
Yeah, there's probably it fluctuates. We were at 7 point something, and it just went to 6. So, and then there's probably 30 that just hasn't been loaded. So it's just all people put them up there, and then they get around to it when they get around to it. So they're getting them up there, and then so we have a special import tape that we give out that has basically all the data points we need. They can populate it, and they can send it in through their secret email address. It populates in their site, and they just have to fill out all the information. Cool. So we have, people that are listing first and then seconds. There's a lot of seconds buyers.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that, because we didn't come from that world of ever purchasing seconds, so they were like, oh, seconds. And then so seconds data is different. What people want to see is different than what they want to see in a first. And so when we started to get, it was more at one point, more seconds than first. I was like, wow, that's a neat metric. And then it's like, well, we got to cater to it somehow. And so, there's first, seconds, hard money loans, soon to be, in the near future, by the end of the spring, we're having partials. We're going after commercial. It'll, once we figure out what's needed, it's going to be hopefully everything,
Cool. So what's the vision for Paperstac? Where do you see this thing in a year or 5 years? And how do you see note investors or brokers using it?
I mean, what we're trying to do is try to, bring it to a bigger audience that wants to invest in notes, but might be maybe a little scared. We're trying to connect basically two different parts. We know that there are investment funds out there that they sell at a higher level, and they are trying to get whatever they can get, what's the highest percentage of dollar they can get on their assets, right?
Yep.
But we know that, with these pools that they buy or pools that they sell, if they're selling at bulk like that, they're not sometimes able to get as high as they'd like, but they're not going to be able to talk to the retail investor because there's a whole bunch between, or there's a whole different, they don't talk to each other that often. So what we're trying to figure out is how do we get, connect everybody so that the people in the middle still make money because we do have features such as private communities and broker features they can use to put their fees in between, but having it in a way that it's what it already is a fully digital process, but it's an efficiency product for a big player, somebody that knows that, doing it, signing, 100 to 1,000 documents can probably be a big pain in the butt and takes months.
Yeah.
How do we make their life easier? How do we, for example, we're piping in mortgage recording information here soon. But if you weren't doing that with an API, it could be it's daunting. So, but, we're trying to cut down on the daunting parts for a big fund and basically make it an amazing efficiency product where they get a higher yield. And then we're hopefully being able to offer a better price asset for maybe the onesie twosies, self-directed IRA people that are looking to buy something that, they can use and put in their self-directed IRA or just live on the yield. So how you do that is kind of hard, but we got it. The vision's there. It's just a matter of, being accepted to where people are saying, okay, this is possible. These guys can do it, because what we've done so far is pretty cool. Yeah. But it's just also it's a big thing to try to do. So,
So in case we just blew past that acronym, people didn't know what you meant. You said API. That's just the way that two servers talk to each other. Just because, with this crowd, and you're probably experiencing this as you're onboarding people, but with this crowd, I tend to find that it's not always the most technical crowd, right? We're not typically developers and, like deep technical internet people. It tends to be investors and real estate folks. And sometimes, folks who, we're a little bit older, we're not digital natives, catching up and that kind of thing. So, so I'd just like to clear that up. But it sounds like, now I saw the first version of your interface. Maybe you can take us in there and show it to us. But I know when I had my first look at Paperstac, it wasn't daunting to me at all. I didn't feel overwhelmed technically in any way. It felt like really pretty straightforward. And I know you made a lot of changes since then. So maybe you can take us in there and show us, do you want to show us how it is for a buyer or how it is for a seller today? Or what would you like to?
Yeah. I mean, what I was going to do is probably share the screen and then share the monitor if I can. And so I can kind of play between each. So that way it would be easier.
That sounds good.
So I wonder if I can do, I can do desktop. So I'm going to share the desktop. That way I can switch between. And then let me know when you see this one right here.
Yep.
Okay. So this will be the buyer side. And then if you see this right here.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this is the buyer and this is the seller. So what this is a demo site. The live site looks a lot like it, just with live data, of course. But we are going to do one in the demo site because it has all the same functionality. It's the same type of information. It's just on the live site. It just you can see right now. I think there's probably 100, should be 131. 131 assets. But I'll show all the sorting and everything from the buyer and seller side. Okay. So cool. As a buyer, one of the things people do is they'll definitely come in here, and most people usually come in and first thing they hit is the for sale. We've added some features that most of the features that you'll find on the site are because somebody said, I wish it did this. I want to see this feature. When are you guys going to have it? And we're like, okay, well, some of these things aren't hard. Some take a while, but this was something new. People were like, I want to see when things are newly listed. So we just did that recently. You can sort by that. I want to see it in a spreadsheet view. Okay, there you go. You guys can sort by that. I want to be able to manage my columns and see, which ones are performing. They can see that. They can manage like a spreadsheet. Soon this will be a spreadsheet that you can click another button. It'll blow up on your screen and you can run calculations. But some of the things we have on the side here are the standard filters of I want to only see single assets, first lien position. You can change all your filtering for UPB, investment to balance, performing or non, state specific, judicial, non-judicial. But what we find that people wanted to see is that people have certain buying criteria where they're like, look, I only buy in these states, or I only buy assets that are above whatever 70% UPB, and then I only buy performing or whatever. So we created this new thing called Safe Search. So they don't have to come back every day saying, hey, is there something listed here? Is there anything new? It's like, no, you just put in your information. As soon as you put in your information, you save your search, and we'll notify you via email when something that meets your buying criteria comes on the site. And this is because we know people in the past have said, oh, I missed that deal. It's like, well, I'm sorry, like it was there, but now they don't get the chance. They don't miss the deals because if they're on their email, they'll get it immediately. As soon as it hits, it sends out everybody. And this has been a huge feature. This is great for both sellers and buyers because as soon as the seller lists something, they don't usually expect like in the next 10 minutes for people to be talking to them, but it happens. But what I'll show you is how it works from a buyer side of how the information looks. This is the actual listing note detail. And what we have is all the information about the property. For sensitivity information, we hide the street address, hide the links to Zillow. You have to actually start a transaction and sign a form for that to be able to see it. But I will go ahead and make that happen now.
Okay.
So here I can negotiate with the seller. Good for sellers to know is that if I am bidding 20% below what your asking price is, I got to actually give a reason. Why are you going to bid so low? Is it like, what are you doing? So I actually would have to leave a reason if I bid below that, but being that's only 10%, I'm just going to do that. And then at that point, what you'll have is a this is the form I was talking about. This is data sensitivity and non-circumvent. This is a way for us to protect the sellers, that their data is secure, that you're not going to take this information and do something malicious with it. Okay. So that happens with every time you start a transaction. That's just a protection. And then, so how this will look from the seller side is they'll see a new transaction has come in, and they have to do the same thing. And what they'll see is that they've offered a price 2,000% lower. They again can go and negotiate the price from here. They can show the bid history, because that was something we saw people were saying, well, I don't remember what I listed this for. So now you know exactly where did you start, because sometimes this negotiation to bid history can go, 6 down. If there's, 6 times this thing has been negotiated, where did we start and how much am I off by now? So this part I might say, you know what? I'll go ahead and accept that. It's only $2,000 off. Good. So now you'll be able to see all this stuff is live time. There's no refreshing. The data is really fresh. It just automatically pipes in. We have add some features for brokers that maybe are on behalf of a buyer, and I'd
love to dig into that, because I know a lot of the folks who sign up with Distress Pro they have some funds to invest, but a lot of them are looking to make fees and make money getting started with brokering. And so anything that we could do to dive into that would be excellent.
Perfect. Now I'll show that here. So right here we have these 3 things called the other actions. Okay. And these are all just for buyers and sellers. Maybe at some point you wanted to abandon the transaction. Seller wasn't coming to whatever, you guys couldn't agree on a price. Yeah. You can abandon it. It won't show up in your transactions, your active transactions. If you needed to, the person was being not nice, you can add them to your blacklist, and anytime that you're on the platform, you'll never even know that they're there, because they won't show up. But for brokers, you can add a broker fee. So if you found this, you're on behalf of the buyer, or vice versa, you're selling someone's assets, per them allowing you to. So what you can do is you can put in your amount as a flat rate or percentage of sale, and when the deal closes, you won't get cut out of the deal, because the money will end up going to an escrow or a holding account. And when all funds are distributed at the end, your money will go to you via your, this is the seller, but we'll just pretend. So this one right here, we have, you have your teams, and where's your information? I was like, account settings. You have your PayPal email. So we've pay out via PayPal. So your percentage will come to you via PayPal, and you get money in your account. Other things that we've seen brokers do is that they've found a seller, they want to go through the deal, and what they'll do is they'll set up a team, and they'll create the team maybe by the address or whatever. And then they'll invite the buyer to the team and have the seller in there as well. And they can transact and they can act as a like a mediator between it. And so they can provide stuff for each party when they're needed and still put their fees on top of it. That's something that buyers like to do. Or if they have a lot of buyers and sellers, they can do a community where every person that comes and buys from their community of assets that they've been able to add sellers into, they make a seller fee, and they will be able to take that and they can say who can sell. Like down here, I had a team of so many people, and I, as the owner of this community, I can say, nope, you can't sell, but you can sell. So it's all a matter of you control that. So and then you have your invite link where people can see how I can get invited, and then that's how brokers have been using it. And a lot of them were brought on because we have had people say, look, I like your platform. I just want to sell stuff on it, but I don't want them to go around me. How do I do that? And it's like, well, you guys are working hard. We want to make sure that you guys are compensated as well. So that's one thing we have been we make sure to tell people that if they are brokering on behalf of somebody else, please be upfront, be upfront with the seller, because that's just respect, just say, hey, look, I will be brokering. Are you okay with that? And most are, they understand. And it's one of those things where, okay, I'm going to add my percentage to which side. And that's usually negotiable of how they will handle those things. But so those are some of the broker features we do have as of now.
Cool.
But we'll just pretend that there was a percentage put in there. But everything in this site is done through a to-do list, because we know there's a lot of buyers that and sellers too that might not know what are the next steps. I got this seller finance mortgage. I don't know what I should do next to get rid of this. And so we decided make it a to-do list. Everyone understands that. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Everything's just done in this giant to-do list. So for example, I know that when there's a red dot, it means I have to do something. We also allow for people to do closings however they like. So before we're like, most protection for buyer and seller, or mostly buyer, is an escrow and audit, because they're going to know their money's protected, and the audit's to guarantee whatever the seller says in the collateral file is actually in the collateral file. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people know each other. There's a lot of people that know each other, but they just love the platform because it's just makes it easy. They're not going through emails, text messages, all this different stuff.
Sure.
But we have full payment to seller and an audit, or now we just have full payment to seller. You guys just can, use the platform, just pay them right there. We have cutoff dates, which they change. Some people want to have it at the end of the month. We're flexible, whatever they like to do there. At this part, let me go back to the buyer side. So I approved the closing over here, same stuff. And then after that, what will happen is I provide my vesting profiles. Because of our soon-to-be integration with self-directed IRAs, this is really interesting where we can choose our vesting profile. So your self-directed IRA, or if you need to add and split it between your self-directed IRA and yourself or your JV partner, we allow for you to split the ownership however you need to. So you could, 30-70, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just for sake of simplicity, we'll just do one. But you can add more vesting profiles if you need to. We allow you to just add it in there, and so this is just who's buying the asset. So after that, seller provides it. Let's just say, here we go. And now the purchase sale agreement will happen. And this is one of the broker features that we have. So as actually the seller or buyer, we have this universal email this off to somebody.
Okay.
They click this button. I don't know if I clicked it or what happened there. 1 second. I think I was hovering over it too long. So they click this button. What happens is they will get an email. So you can put the person you're brokering the deal for, or the person you're purchasing for. They're going to have to be the person that signs in the vesting, because they're actually the person that's buying it. You can send off this document, and they will get an email. So we'll just do it just for fun. Mail trap. They'll get an email. They don't have to have a Paperstac account. They don't even really have to know anything except that they're going to get an email where they need to sign a purchase sale agreement. Once they do that, they'll get it in their inbox. they'll get it. Just say Paperstac needs you to sign this. They click the button. It opens up a blank screen. We know it's them because we have some tracking installed. And once that happens, I don't know why it's running a little slow right now. They'll see the purchase sale agreement. Let me move this stuff out of the way. They'll click sign the document. They can use the pin signature if they're out on the go, or they can type it. We'll just do the pin for now. And then as soon as they do that, over here, we'll see it turn green because now it will go back and we know that the seller has actually executed the purchase sale agreement.
Cool.
Yeah, and so then the buyer, of course, has to do the same thing. They could do the same thing, email it off if they needed to. And then also, too, we do know some people have their own LSA, their own PSAs. We allow people to use their own custom documents. So if they feel more secure, as long as both parties agree, we're fine with it. And so we'll just do this real quick. Right. At this part, the entire negotiation phase has been finished, meaning anybody else who's bidding on this asset has now just got an email saying, hey, look, sorry, you missed out. But if something happens and this transaction does go sour, you'll be next in line. And they'll get an email saying, hey, you get a chance to go back in there and bid.
Cool.
But, yeah. So at this time, the cool thing about it is everything's happening on the timeline. So you know exactly when things are happening. Another really cool feature that we introduced recently was the phone call feature. And this allows us to, this is a test right here. Mike's actually working from home right now, but we'll see if he answers. What it does is it'll call my phone. You'll get a phone call from Paperstac.
Hello, Kitty Ellington. If you requested a Paperstac phone call, please press or say 1 to continue. Thanks. We will now try to reach Battery Whitecoat. Please hold.
So now they're trying to reach the seller.
This call will be recorded and stored on your transaction timeline.
The purpose of this is to maintain the legal, the he said, she said, so nothing's ever lost in translation. They can never say, well, I didn't say that. And it's like, well, you did because we transcribe it.
Yep.
And I didn't get them.
So it places the call. So you dial the number. It calls your phone. It calls the recipient's phone. And then it also makes a transcript.
Hello, Barry Whitecoat. This is Kitty Meowington leaving you a message. Bye. So, yeah. So it shows. So then it shows up automatically on the timeline.
Yeah. Amazing.
And then you can hear. And then it also transcribes it. So they'll know if they get a message and they'll know who left them a message. But ideally, they will you'll be able to talk and have a whole conversation. Yeah. And it's great for teams because, teams might say, well, what did they say? Did they say 10%? What did they say? When do we close? All that information of what did they say is now transcribed. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about what they said. And if anything goes, oh, here we go. So he said, I'm here. I must have just missed him. If anything ever goes sour, you know that you have the transcript right in front of you.
Right.
So I'll just trust one. Here, it's fun. It's the fun for. So usually at demos, this is.
Live demos are tough, man.
I know. I know. I might have pressed one too early, but
you never know who's going to be available, and what weird internet thing's going to happen at that moment.
Yeah, especially sometimes at conferences. Well, you get the gist. So 99% of the time it works, except when I'm recording it live.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you recorded the transcripts there.
Yep.
And that's a great way, and you can also now share files. So if you had stuff like you always have copy of the BPO, original BPO, you can always share that information. All that information will show up there on the timeline. You'll see it all happen right here. So I shared the BPO, all that stuff's the simple things. And then also too, anytime we need to jump in, it's just a click away. So those are all the things that happen pretty much every day when people are using this site.
Cool.
So back to the timeline. So I know that I'm going to have this collateral sent somewhere. So I know that it's either going to be my servicer or it's going to be my house. So I'm going to go ahead and set that in there and show that. And so, and after that, my servicing information for transfer. This is something really cool that we found that a lot of buyers and sellers were saying at the end of transactions, like, well, hey, who do I reach out to? Can you get your servicer to send the information, my servicer, and, get all that together? And we're like,
yeah,
that's easy to, we can do that. And so we're just like, okay, well, add servicing transfer information. So now we can click, this down, and there you go. There's your servicer information. And they'll know at the end of the transaction who to send it to or where it's coming from. Right. So I think we're operating on behalf of the buyer. So I'll go over to the seller and do the exact same thing. They'll be able to enter in their bank account. Where is this money going to? So we do the two-step, two little deposits into their account. Yep. Another really cool thing that will be happening soon for sellers, that we will be verifying funds a lot of times because we don't want people to type people's assets for too long. We're using a system called, doesn't really matter, but it's called Plaid to, verify, okay, this is legit, so that everything moves smoothly and fast. So that's, that'll be in the very near future. Cool. Servicing information, click here, have all my different servicers. We are integrating with a number of different servicers now to where we're piping in nightly data. So one of the really cool things that I just totally skimmed over was, payee history. So now every night, payee history is being pumped into the site from different from servicers, which is probably one of the top questions people ask. Hey, what's the pay history on this? And so it shows up. I can't remember which one I put it on now that I think about it. And it wasn't this one, but yeah, the pay history is being pulled in every single night. Okay. And that way that you just go to the asset and you can look, and it shows up down here at the bottom. And I forgot which one it was, but sorry about that. Anyhow, back to the transaction. Yeah, so we are. So this part, I have two to-dos as well. So I need to provide the mortgage recording. So this is one of the things that we found people, they get kind of flustered. Like, whoa, this. If I mess this up, this is a big deal. So we are almost done, I would say, May, where we'll be putting all this information automatically. This will come from a service provider that has all this information, and they won't have to worry about it. It doesn't sound daunting when you're looking at one and you're going through your collateral file going, what's the instrument number? That's still kind of a pain, but it's insane when you have like 20 or 30. So we've done stress tests on the platform, and there's just this is a bottleneck. It's like, once we fix this, it's gonna be amazing. So even on the demo, I don't even want to fill it out. That's why I have an autofill button. So I just autofill it. After that, the seller provides shipping information for the collateral. So go here, the length, this is 12, 8, just say it's a heavy one, let's say 16 ounces. That part, the seller is going to, because we chose escrow and audit, they're going to ship the collateral to the third-party auditing company. And once they receive it, they're going to go ahead and you'll be able to track it through FedEx. So we provide them with a shipping number or tracking number so they always know, hey, where's my stuff? Wow. The auditor will take it, look at it, and go through it and provide an audit report. And you'll be able to either see it on the timeline here, that they provide an audit report, and they go through and say, is this what they said it was? Is this actually the original note? The Bailey letter, is the Bailey letter included? All the other things that were needed that they said were in the actual collateral file, are they there? And we even provide them with a download to color copies. So they are able to download color copies of the actual collateral file. And only at that part will the buyer say, I'm good, I'll keep moving forward. Or, hey, wait a second, what's this? This was a red flag. Because they'll know, okay, I need to, once that happened, they're able to do the disbursement agreement. One thing I kind of skimmed over is that we all, because we're on the seller side, is that buyers do wire funds. Okay. We provide them with an invoice to where they can send it. This is really good for, say if you were brokering a deal, okay, I click this, I can either just tell them this information, where it's going. And our escrow company has their own version of Paperstac, and they know exactly when the money comes in, what transaction is tied to. And if it's in full payment, they'll be able to click a button, and then it will show on here that buyer has wired the funds, and everything can keep moving forward. Cool. At this part, if I'm a happy buyer and I'm ready to go ahead and move forward with it, I will go ahead and just sign the disbursement agreement. Again, like everything else, you can send this off to your if you're brokering the deal, click the button and send it off to whoever so that they can sign and say, yes, this is good. They can see the color copies of the collateral file, agree it's good. And then at that point, you're good to go. Just sign the document. Just for easy use, I'll just copy the name right there and type it in. At this part, the buyers pretty much fulfilled everything they need to do. The seller will get some information that says, all right, seller, you got stuff to do. And what they have to do now is they need to execute the assignment. And so, again, the features of sending it off to somebody. But because this is the part that actually has to be notarized, we integrate with a company, and an online notary will show up on your screen, just how me and you were chatting, ask you some questions such as, I don't know, banker questions. You know, did you drive a Toyota in the 90s? Did you live at this address? Stuff like that, you know, all the things they always ask. And then after that, they'll say, what are we signing? They'll look it over and they'll digitally stamp it. It's legal in every state except Iowa for some reason. Iowa is coming around though. I just think they just didn't know that this was a thing. And so now they do. Cool. They have, you know, Android and iPhone app. And so you start this, and of course, because this is a demo, we're not going to do it. But after that, you execute the allonge, and you can still, I know some people were like, well, I need the wet ink on this one. All good. We understand. You can always come up here and download this. Yep. And then once you're done, upload the document, and it will show up here with the wet ink. And that's pretty much where this thing will end, because after that, all the seller has to do is say, all right, I'm good. The auditor has the collateral file. I have done the assignment, and I have done the allonge, and I am pretty much ready to rock and roll and sign the disbursement agreement. But just one thing that you'll always want to know is that on each of these transactions, we always keep the files here. So if at any point you're like, I need to show a copy of the PSA to somebody, or I need these things printed off. I need to keep just a paper trail of my own stuff. I know it's on your website. That's fine. You just always, a lot of people ask for this. Come over here, download whatever you want, and just know this is always going to be stored like in the cloud for you for as long as Google's still up. We'll still be good. I don't know. Did I not hit sign? I might have. There we go. That might have gone through. There we go. So now this part. It really
seems like you've thought of like every angle that happens in here, like all of the communications, all of the documentation that has to happen, all of the players involved, from where you're sending and receiving funds, the verification, like everything across the board. It's really excellently executed. Kudos.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, we hear what people, what they're saying, pain points, bottlenecks. I wish it did this. I wish it did that. And it's like, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a product of users. Like two of the partners, they're in there all day long. They're like, this is a pain, fix this. And it's like, okay, we'll fix it. And so, or, I need to automate this part. I need to be able to just download them all. And so, okay, we'll download them all. And so it's like, it's the things that you wish every software company listened to you and said, when you'd say something that says suggestion, they actually are like, we'll do it. It's like, if it's not crazy, we'll do it. So at that part, after you've done all that stuff, the wire code goes over to the liquid, our escrow company will send the wire, and everything will start to finish on the transaction. But this is pretty much the gist of how the entire transaction goes. Everything after this, just this stuff is we know when this stuff is, when the collateral package is started to be shipped. That's when the escrow will fire off. Okay. And then so it's finished. And then that's pretty much the whole thing.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about, if I'm looking to just get started today as a buyer, why don't you just take me to the home screen there and show me what I do to go ahead and get signed up?
Yeah, if you're here on this home screen, you just have you'll usually be, if I was logged out. So for here, you can't really see any details of anything until you actually do log in to message the seller. But if you haven't logged in, you got to, start an account. Okay. So you just create an account and go through the steps. You agree to our terms. There are some, I'd send out emails that some kind of buyer, onboarding, because I don't know if you're a seller or buyer a lot of times, but kind of most people are both. And so there's, some ways we want people to interact with each other, because
you sign up one time and you can do any of the things that we've talked about here.
Yeah. The only thing that you can't do right off the bat is start selling. So we have our own seller onboarding.
Okay.
We want to make sure that these are your assets. We don't want anybody doing any daisy chains on our site. And so what we do is we will go through, we know if it came from an actual servicer, like if I was still online here, we have integrated with different servicers to know exactly what their tape format looks like. So if you say, oh, I'm with servicer A, well, we've integrated with servicer A, just copy this email link. And then when you attach your tape to this secret email, it'll show up in your listings over here. You will see your import history. Wow. And we'll know that at that point, we know if it's not importing where are you getting this tape from? Because that's not exactly how that tape is formatted. So there's that. And so that's the only thing. And the seller onboarding really involves talking, not on the phone, but at least talking. We have a support channel. So like the support channel down here, they contact us, but there's also a seller onboarding button that would be up here. When you're first logged in, but you're not a seller, it says become a seller. Okay. They click that, they upload a tape, and we kind of, look at it and say, okay, this is legit. A lot of times, this is not a huge industry. So, if there's somebody, I'm like, oh, a lot of times it's kind of like, oh, you're here, cause for me, it's like, I'm always marketing to people and it's like, oh, wow, I'm so glad you're here. Load your assets, cause I've talked about it, a lot of people. And then finally they're like, I got something to sell. And it's like, Paperstac. And then so they come so then that's how, but for buyers, we just try to tell buyers, if you're going to come here, please, respect the seller's time. So ask legit questions. If you're on here and asking questions that are obviously right here, like how much does this cost? Or is this asset for sale? It's like, it's on the platform. It's for sale. So, things that you can find coming with educated questions of, I need to know this, and this is a deal. Whatever, we just, we frown on people that like maybe just bid on 50 things at once, because we know that you can't do your due diligence that fast. That's you're really good at it to understand what exactly is a good asset that will meet your buying criteria. Sure, that's just respect for both parties.
Cool. Well, this has been really helpful for me to get a new, fresh look at this, and I know that once we get this out in front of some folks, they'll be excited about it too. So I really appreciate you coming on here and walking us through all this.
Yeah, it's fun.
And if you are looking for, if you're not doing your own prospecting, or if you are and you're turning up deals, you need to buy and sell, go to paperstac.com. It's paperstac.com. And they're really doing a bang up job over there. And this is the most advanced platform I've seen by far for trading, period, in notes. So really impressive.
One thing I forgot to mention that is coming out really soon is the fact that we're integrating with self-directed IRA companies. So if you have a self-directed IRA account, we're working with a number of them because.
Can you name a couple here, or you got to reserve that?
I mean, I guess not. New View Trust Equity Trust. Their name is one. Equity Trust. And there's a couple other ones we're working with to really integrate some bigger ones. And so
cool.
We know that we've had them come, and the buyers that have bought from their self-directed IRA, there's other steps involved, but once we know that they're going through, it's like, wow, this is great. This is perfect because they have the funds. We know they're wanting to buy, and we have the third party custodians that are like, we release funds when we know it's a good deal and we've kind of approved. And so we've taken the last 3 or 4 weeks, or at least to develop the integration so that you'll be able to come to Paperstac, choose your self-directed IRA company from the drop down, click. We know when you get a transaction, here's all the information they need to see. It goes over to them, and they're one of our integrated partners. That's our big push. And then after that is, of course, partials and then commercial. So that's the gist of it.
Cool. And so when will people expect to see some of those things?
Well, for the for the self-directed IRA stuff, we're going to Paper Source next week, we're trying to have it done before then. And I'm going to have a lot of faith in Mike, which is a developer who stands behind me over here. I mean, he says he's going to do it. He's going to do it. So he'll probably, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like at least in the next 2 weeks.
April 2019, though. Anyway.
That's right. April 2019. I can say that. That's fair.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Brett. Thanks very much. Appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah,
and that was awesome.
Thanks, man. So much.
All right. To learn more about how you can source non-performing off-market note deals direct from lenders, visit www.distrustpro.com.